Ankara is the winner here for what happened in Assyria. Moscow is clearly the loser here, and so is Tehran. All things considered, as far as what I'm looking at, though, I'm looking at how this is going to impact what's happening in Al-Sabata, what's happening in Bamako, what's happening in Ouagadougou. The ability to project power from Moscow into the Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu is now being hindered, because once they lost the naval and air force base in Assyria, the ability to project power into Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu became compromised. And those military hunters in those particular areas, they're on borrowed time. Reason why I say they're on borrowed time is simply because what happened in Assyria, I'm sure there's a whole series of things that happened, because this is all not what folks would think it is. Took 11 days for this thing to happen. It didn't happen in several decades. It didn't happen in several years. And it happened in 11 days. It's not by accident. It's by design. Let's just be clear about that. Does not mean that there are not other designs. Meaning the hunters that are doing whatever they're doing in Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu right now, that are basically funded or armed by Moscow, they should be very concerned, because the Russians don't have the ability right now to project power and back them up. They're all giving up 25% of their gold profits to Moscow in exchange for munitions, weapons, and ammunition. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, where the Russians invaded Ukraine, has severely impacted their ability to produce what they need just to fight that particular conflict. So how do you do that and send weapons to the hunters? And because of how the weapons have performed as the Russians have been fighting in Ukraine, basically Cusharappasi has canceled particular agreements. Others are not happy with the product quality of the military hardware that they've been acquiring from the Russians. They're not going to go to Beijing to get it. Ask Islamabad. Islamabad and Dhaka, both of them are not happy with the ships and aircraft and other systems they bought from Beijing. So basically the despots who have been armed from Moscow and Beijing, their ability to continue to stay in power is now in question. So the Russia-Ukraine war and what happened in Assyria have both compromised the Russians. And again, the big winner here is Ankara and Turkey. Tehran's out. So where this all goes remains to be seen. For our purposes, what this all does to the gold and silver price, well, we can tell silver is actually up and gold is hovering. So the buying power of gold and silver have not been hit in a negative light. So our international buying power, it holds. The biggest winner is those who left Assyria and went all over the place to avoid the civil war. You have massive amounts of them leaving Anatolia, Turkey, if you would, and heading back into Assyria. That's already happening. So they're going home. That puts less pressure because they're no longer refugees in foreign lands. They're now going home. So that will be helpful in many ways in and of itself. Well, what happens from here on out remains to be seen. I just know that at the end of the day, watching what's happening globally, the ripple effects, we can see that our condition, things are nominal at best. I don't expect us to have too much turmoil impacting us directly or indirectly as a consequence. I'm just happy to see that the Assyrians get to go home. I'm happy to see that there could be theoretically a diminishment of the Russian imprint all across Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu. We definitely want them out of the Al-Sabata district. We want them out of Bamako, Ouagadougou, and Niamey. The Franks and Gauls are out. Everybody out. East and West has to go. And sooner rather than later. That allows us to do particular things internationally for our abilities. It also allows us to advance our opportunities in terms of an independent commerce and trade. So the despots, they better take note to what's been happening, because they're all on borrowed time.